Welcome to Per Her Perspective, a podcast of raw, relatable conversations on leadership, challenges, and solutions in running a business, often with the support of smart peers. The show inspires business owners to grow, make bold decisions, and go bigger with confidence. I'm your host, Marla Noel. Let's get started. Good day and welcome to Per Her Perspective. My name is Marla Knoll. I want to welcome you to this episode. Today's guest is Meghan Lynch. Meghan is CEO and strategic partner of 6 Point Strategy and has served as a brand strategist and advisor to generational family businesses for almost 2 decades. Meghan and the team at 6 Point Strategy have generational brand system with a mission to help family businesses protect, grow, and successfully transfer one of their most valuable assets, their reputation. Family businesses have challenges unlike many others, which presents opportunities. Struggling to unify leadership around a growth strategy, preparing for a sale or generational transition, or a feeling like you've outgrown your brand, but you're not sure where to start. That's where 6 Point Strategy comes in. They help family businesses clarify their brand, align their leadership, and make strategic decisions that strengthen the businesses for the long haul. So welcome, Meghan Lynch. I'm so happy you're here. And my first question for you is, what motivated you to start your business?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Marla. Appreciate it. So I actually, 6 Point Strategy was founded, it was actually started as 6 Point Creative, and it was founded by 2 mentors of mine. And they were really starting the company as their legacy, right? Like their last opportunity to create something that they fully controlled and owned and could really be their vision and kind of the culmination of their careers in strategy and creative work. And I love working with them. I believed in their vision and I was happy to be a part of it. I didn't realize at the time that I was their succession plan. So
I really like that point that you brought up, because I know a lot of business owners, when they hit a certain age, they start looking at around them, and if the family isn't going to do it, who is? Be much better if the people that worked in the business took over the business versus selling it sometimes. So that's nice that you had that leadership development for you and they had a plan for you. Doesn't always happen that way. Tell me a little bit about what your childhood was like.
Yeah. So my mom was a teacher and my dad is an Episcopal priest. And so business wasn't really spoken in our house. It was really much more about learning, reading, imagination, community service, like that. Those were the values that were instilled in us. And, but the idea, I'm sure that they're still like, I have no idea how she ended up in business. It was a really like happy childhood, just kind of like suburban middle class, really enjoyed it. I was a big reader. I really thought I was going to be an English teacher, English professor. That was kind of like the track that I was on. Yeah. Lots of reading, lots of learning. Still like to do that.
That's one thing that I think is important. So your mom, a teacher, and learning was probably instilled in you at an early age. And learning how to be an entrepreneur is hard. How do you think your mentors helped you understand what that's supposed to look like?
Yeah. I mean, I think that like particularly, I guess one, I would say that it was interesting growing up like a priest kid, like the child of clergy. One of the things that I always kind of like got dragged into was, oh, you're going to talk to adults, or you're going to be on this committee, or you're going to lead this youth activity. And you just kind of get pushed into leadership roles almost by default. And I never really thought about the work that my dad did as being equivalent to running a business, but it's very similar. You're trying to understand what the market wants. What do people want? You're trying to get consensus. You're trying to move people towards a goal. You're trying to help people use their skills towards something bigger. And so I never really thought about some of that early work as mentorship until later in life when I look back on it, and I was really great training in a lot of ways. And then I would also say, like, my mentors, David and Marcia, they're just highly curious people. They just always wanted to understand. Anytime they were doing work for a client or a customer, they would want to understand everything about the company, like how it works, what they do, what their customers are like. And they instilled that curiosity in me. You never know where the connections are. You just really need to understand as much as you can, ask as many questions as you can, and always really thought of, like, it's better to have the right question than the right answer. And I think that continues to serve me well in business and in life, of just like really trying to get curious about everything, learn as much as I can. In business, you have to have that hunger to just keep learning, because every single time you think like, oh yes, okay, I've got this figured out, there's some new challenge, new opportunity, something else to learn.
So how did you meet your mentors in the first place?
Yeah, we worked together at another agency for a number of years, where they were a strategy copywriter and designer duo. And I was working more on the business side, project management and things like that. And I just really appreciated how they approached problem solving in business and the work that they did. I just always felt they gave such tremendous value and came up with ideas that nobody else was seeing. And I really appreciated that about them. And then plus they were great human beings and fun to be around. We had a lot of fun together, which is important, especially in like the early days of a business. It's like, if it's not fun,
Exactly.
it's hard to stay in it. So, so that was always really important to us, of just like enjoying each other and enjoying working together.
Yeah. So besides your being pushed to leadership roles, what do you think from your early years put a fire in your belly?
I hate to sound like a broken record, but I do think learning and just trying to get better, that's really what drives me, is just always trying to be a better version of myself tomorrow than I am today, or today than I was yesterday. And I do feel like that's been something that's always been part of who I am. And then I think the other big piece is an idea of like stewardship, that we have skills, opportunities, gifts that we have to put to work for the benefit of others and to something bigger than ourselves. And so that's always just been a big driving force for me. It's a lot less about I have to have the biggest company or I have to have a big exit. It's more just about how do I take, and particularly because I didn't, 6 Point wasn't my original vision. I feel the standpoint of I'm a temporary guardian of this, and my job is to use what I have to continue to grow it and evolve it. But the idea would be to hand it on to the next steward, not to keep it for myself. I don't think of myself so much as an owner, as a steward.
Kind of like a family business.
Exactly.
What you said about your dad and community work, not everybody grows up in a family where giving back to the community is an important part of what they do. Did you ever resent, like, my friends aren't doing this, why do I have to? Did that ever get to you? I know I grew up in a family where we had to do the charity work and the church socials and those kinds of things. I always assumed that's what everybody did, but I learned that is not what everybody does. How'd you feel about it?
Yeah, there were definitely times when I was, why do I have to go to this when other people don't? But also, it really was like our social community, like it was a community that I loved and people who I cared about. So it didn't feel like work. It just felt like what else would we do? Yeah, as you said,
Yeah,
kind of like
it's what you do.
this is our life. This is what we do. This is our community,
Yeah.
and this is what the community does. And
Yeah.
also, I feel like particularly when you're doing things that are giving back or connecting you to a community, it feeds you. Like there's definitely a positive feedback loop of whether it's appreciation or just feeling like you're making a difference or seeing the impact of work that you're doing. And yeah, and I think that that's something that kind of like continues to drive me. You see an impact, particularly working with families, you see an impact on a family and their trajectory or their relationships, and you're like, ooh, yeah, give me more of that. I want to keep going.
Yeah. I do believe in karma. I do think that when you do some good, good comes to you. Do you have siblings?
I do. I had 3 brothers. One of them passed away 5 years ago from a rare cancer. And so his name is Matt, and we miss him very much, and coming up on the 5-year anniversary. So just thinking about him a lot. I'm the oldest of the 3.
Yeah, that's hard.
It is, yeah. It's the worst, and he was the best. So.
And are your other siblings, are they in business, running businesses as well? Or did any of that church business rub off on them?
Yeah, actually, one of them is in seminary. So he is on a track to join the priesthood. That's really exciting. He's younger. He just finished college. So has a lot of opportunity ahead of him to see what he's going to get up to. And then the other lives in Los Angeles and works in the music industry. And he owns part of a music on the business side of music. So yeah, he got the business bug.
Got the bag. Wow. What are 1 or 2 things that you feel has made a positive impact on your business?
I think the relationship that I had with my partners, with David and Marcia, I just couldn't ask for better mentors. We had such a great relationship. I know so many businesses, especially partnerships, that do not go well, or succession stories that do not go well. So I feel a lot of gratitude for our relationship and for everything that they entrusted to me and the opportunity that I've had.
And Marcia, what's their last name? We got to give them
Marcia Montori and David Wicks. So the shout out.
Marcia Montori and David Wicks. So thank you for successfully mentoring a woman business owner. There's just not enough of that out in the world today. So yay for them.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they couldn't be like more generous and humble people. I'm sure that they would be like, oh no, she did it all. But yeah, they're just a tremendous influence. And then I think when we went through Succession, one of the things that I did was just get very aggressive about educating myself about business best practices and how to run a business. And so had opportunities to do a lot of, I don't have an MBA, I have a master's degree in English. So I went through the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program, which was excellent, joined WPO, I joined a family business center. I have been through the Harvard program that WPO partnered with Harvard Business School. And so, yeah, just a lot of opportunities to learn from others and to fill in those gaps of, you can learn a lot by doing, but also it's so much better and faster to learn from people who have already been there, done that, or are experts in what they're talking about. So
yeah, so you're really studying business. And I'd have to say the 2 programs that you mentioned, Goldman Sachs and the Harvard Business School, both that I believe WPO supports and participates, at least in the Harvard Business School. The people that have been through those programs just rave about how beneficial they are in helping their businesses. So yeah, good for you.
Yeah, really like what you learn in them, and just it continues to like pay dividends of, oh, right, yes, I learned about that, or I have a case study about that, or you go back to it even years later and are still drawing from it. So really valuable.
I'm going to go back to WPO shortly, but is there anything that you wish you'd done sooner?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I feel like I did when David and Marcia and I went through the succession was I tried to keep the company the same as it was and replace them. And as all individuals are, they're irreplaceable. You cannot just hire people in a role and think that it's going to replace individuals. And so I feel like I did that for too long. I kept hiring and hiring, thinking I've got to bring on one more person or one more skill set. And as opposed to really trusting my own self, where they were much more on the creative side of the business, a writer and a designer. I was much more on the strategy side of the business. And so it wasn't until at one point a creative director that I had hired said to me, he's like, Megan, like your heart is in the strategy. Why don't you just take the company and move it towards strategy and just lean into that? Stop trying to pretend that you're something that you're not. And I wish that I had listened to that and done that sooner. Now that we're all in and headed in that direction, but I feel like I probably held on too much to the past and didn't evolve quickly enough in a way that I knew that we needed to.
Yeah, I think, and believe me, been there, done that. I keep thinking, oh, I've got to learn this or I've got to be better at that. But really, sometimes it's better to just lean into our skill set and hire the rest. So,
Exactly. Yeah. And really trust yourself that you do. At the end of the day, the vision of the business has to come from the leader and needs to reflect their passions and their skills. And even if it does mean losing something from the past, that there's going to be something also new that comes out of it, and to just trust that and go for it and trust yourself. And so, yeah.
yeah, change happens whether you want it to or not. So, do you have any disciplines? So, you've studied business and you know a heck of a lot more than many entrepreneurs. Are there any disciplines that you want to share with others regarding good business management?
I feel like, again, I've learned so many best practices, but I also feel sometimes I'm a better student than I am a practitioner. I don't always practice what I learn right away. It takes me a little while to really embrace it. But
Like
one of the
every
things that
other entrepreneur, I'm just
yeah,
going to say.
exactly. I feel like discipline is not always our strong suit. I'm more curious than I am disciplined. But one of my colleagues has recently converted me to time blocking and just being very rigorous about the things that are most important to the business, or that I know are going to really be driving us forward or create value for our clients, that putting those first into my calendar and blocking off time for those versus how I used to do it, which is let my calendar fill up and then whatever is left over, I devote to those things. And now that we have just started really instilling that as a discipline, not just for me, but for everyone at the company, it's a huge difference in terms of what we're able to accomplish. And even at the end of the day, how I feel about what I accomplished for the day.
Yeah. I know you heard Dory speak about the heads up and heads down, working on the business as well as in the business. And that probably gives you an opportunity to do that. So
Yeah,
nice.
definitely. And I think it allows for both of that heads up, heads down time. The heads up to some of my time blocks are more about reading, thinking, connecting with people. Whereas some of my time blocks are more about execution, just get the to-do list done and go deep on the most important priorities for the week or the month. And so, but it allows you to be intentional about how much time you're spending in each of those buckets.
You're managing the whirlwind.
Yeah.
So speaking of the whirlwind, would you say you have a good life balance, or is that really something that's achievable? What do you think?
Yeah. I think usually it's not on a daily basis balance. I feel like it's more taking chunks of time and trying to be fully present in both. I don't tend to work well where I'm trying to do it all at once. But so when I'm working on the business or in the business, I just like to be fully present for that as much as possible. When I'm with my family, I've got a 10-year-old son. I really like to be as fully present as possible for that. And I feel like I know it when I'm not doing that, when I need to kind of like reestablish, okay, I'm here, I'm focused on this, and I need to let this other stuff go. I've also been taking improv classes recently, and a
Really?
lot of that is about like being present and just like really like listening and paying attention to what you're doing. It's been a good practice and reminder, almost like meditation of just practicing presence.
Hard. And how much do you think that instills or adds to the creative Meghan?
Yeah, I mean, it is probably out of everything I do, it might be one of the hardest couple hours of my week, doing improv work, just because it stretches me in ways that I don't normally like to stretch. I'm much more introverted. It's not always my favorite thing to do. I think it is a creative outlet. You come up with ideas, and improv in particular is about collaboration with other people. It's about seeing what your scene partner brings to the table or what the audience gives you, and then making something with it and just saying yes to whatever they provide. And so that opportunity to be creative together and to just like play is, again, yeah, just a really good reminder, a great outlet. And then you'd be shocked at how many like life lessons are hidden hidden in each scene or class.
Just sounds like so much fun.
Yes, we do laugh a lot. It is very fun.
Which we need. We need
Yeah.
as much laughing as we possibly can. Yeah, I do think I'm in a writing class, and I think that creative, adding that to the business is really important.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny how it all kind of feeds, feeds you and feeds the opportunities and things that you see.
Yeah. Are there any regrets that you have in running your business?
So to go back to the improv thing, there's a parable that my improv teacher tells of like this maybe farmer of like, I think it's based on like an older parable, but of a farmer whose neighbors keep telling him this thing that happened to you, it's so good or it's so bad. And after everything, he just says, maybe, like anything good or bad. We don't know. And each one leads to something unexpected. Everything leads to something else. So that's kind of how I feel about mistakes that I've made in the business, or things that like, I'm like, oh, I did an acquisition a number of years ago and it didn't go great, but I learned so much doing it and it led to other things that I don't know that I would say that I wish I didn't do it. I wish that I had another shot at it, that I would have done it differently or would have thought about it differently. But some things like that, it's like you learn so much by going through them and making the mistakes, and those mistakes lead to other things and become a part of who you are. So I don't find a lot of value in like wishing them away. I just kind of try to think about like, yeah, what maybe it would be better if I didn't, but maybe it's leading to something great. So.
Yeah, it's funny. I was talking to one of my clients earlier today, and we were talking about mistakes, because that's a question I ask everybody. And if anybody that was running a business said they didn't make any mistakes, they would be lying.
Well, yeah.
Gosh,
every day.
It is.
And sometimes you make them more than once. I think of like multiple, like I'm famous for creating positions around people or hiring people that I'm just like, oh, I love this person, even if the business doesn't exactly need them right at this moment, or there's not really a great fit. And I've made that mistake so many times. But yeah, maybe eventually I'll stop.
You're not alone.
We'll
You're not alone in that one. You're not alone. Been there, done that. And I've seen other people do it. Yeah. When you work with people, you care about them. And if you outgrow them or they're really not that good at the position you hired them for, you want to do that. You want to keep them. And it's not always the best thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I also feel like I see like that entrepreneur in me like always sees the possibility. Like I don't always
Yes.
see the reality. I see like what could be. And
Yes.
so it makes me sometimes like stick with somebody too long or do them a disservice by trying to like put them into something that's not quite the right fit. So,
Yeah.
but,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. What advice would you offer somebody who's running a business or running a large division of a business that would help them?
Take improv classes. I think, yeah, but do things that stretch you and work on skills that you may think this has nothing to do with business. But I think it's really important to do things, for yourself personally that aren't connected with the business and take a break from it. And then again, you'll find connections back in. It will circle back around. Um, and yeah, I think that's probably like my non-traditional advice. I think all the other things about hire people that are smarter than you and take time to work on the business, like those are all great pieces of advice. But I feel like take improv classes is my
Okay, so
surprise
you're
advice.
an introvert and you're taking improv classes and you're a public speaker.
Yeah. Yep.
How do you do all that? I mean, that's not easy.
Yeah, I mean, I think a piece of it is just understanding yourself. Like for me, being an introvert doesn't mean that I don't like to connect with people or I'm
Yeah.
terrified of being on stage. It just means that after I do a speaking engagement, I know I need to not schedule anything the next day very heavy because it's going to take me 24 hours to recharge from that.
Yeah.
So I've got a speaking gig tomorrow. I'm taking some time and visiting my aunt who has this beautiful, almost retreat center type home and just taking 24 hours to just recharge and relax with her and reconnect and just we probably won't even talk. We'll just sit and have tea. And
Nice.
but just knowing yourself and taking care of yourself, I think is a big piece of that and that allows you to stretch out of your comfort zone because then you can kind of like recharge and reset.
Yeah. I think what you said, knowing yourself and knowing that you need to recharge when you're doing something that's out of your comfort zones. That's good advice. If I asked your employees how they saw you as a boss, what would they say?
I think they would probably say curious connector. We've already talked about I love to learn. I think that they see that visionary, curious piece of it's sort of a blessing and a curse when you work with somebody who's always learning new things and coming back and being like, we should do this, we should try this. So luckily I've surrounded myself with people who like to try new things and who also will help to rein me in, be like, that's nice, but we're staying focused on this. So yeah, I think that they would definitely say that. But I think also one of my favorite things to do is connect great people with other great people. And I just love doing it. I get so much joy out of being like, oh, you should meet Marla. Like she's so cool and talking people up to people or hearing that somebody has a problem and knowing the exact person who can help them solve it. It's just one of my favorite things. Or just sometimes you meet people and you're just like, oh, this person would love this other person. They would just have such a great conversation. And so I love to do that for everybody, like including my employees will, if they ever need anything, I think they think of me as like somebody that they can go to get an intro or who should I know? Or yeah, it's one of my favorite things.
That's fantastic. Do you have any business books that you love? Like there's this amazing business book right over my head that's
Mm.
hands down just amazing. Oh yeah, I wrote it. Um shameless,
Love it. I
shameless
will have to read it. I'm
advertising.
such a reader, so
Trauma-free management. So what business books have you read that you really think are
so many. Okay, my go-to, the one I'm reading now that I love was Jim Collins spoke at the WPO conference a couple of
Yes, he
years
did.
ago,
Yeah.
and I got to meet him and hear about a research project that he was working on that was about taking all this work that he had done on businesses about finding your hedgehog, what you do better than anybody else in the world, and applying that to individuals and lives and studying parallel lives and what happens when some big event happens to people and how do they refine their footing. So Jim Collins, it's called What to Make of a Life or something like that. It is absolutely fabulous. It applies to everybody. It's not just a business book, but there's definitely great business stories and lessons in it. It's much more of just a human book, but I can't say enough about it. He's a brilliant writer and researcher, and it's really great.
Yeah, and a great speaker.
Yeah,
and I wrote
yeah,
that down. I need to get that book. So thank you.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. How about podcasts? Do you
Well, my
recommend
shameless
any?
plug is I
Yes.
do a podcast called Building Unbreakable Brands. I
Nice.
co-host it with my 10-year-old son, Henry. So
Great.
it's on generational leadership and generational brands and just understanding how family businesses endure, how generational brands endure, and what makes them work. And it's really fun doing it with Henry. It's my way to introduce him to our family business and
Yeah.
and also just learn from that next generation. Like he just comes up with questions that the guests always really rise to meet him, and it's just really fun. So
I
people
think
have a
that's
family business, if
brilliant.
they're interested in generational leadership, check out Building Unbreakable Brands.
Building Unbreakable Brands. I love that. And maybe he'll take over your business someday. You never
You
know.
never know. Got to plant those seeds early, you know?
You do. One thing I want to mention that you said something about the family business centers, and maybe there's some people out there that don't know this, that certain universities have been funded for this particular area, departments, family business centers. I know Cal State Fullerton has
Got a
a
great
family
one, yeah.
business center. I think that's maybe, I don't know if you met Katie Rucker that way.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Megan and Katie were speakers at the WPO Entrepreneurial Excellence Forum in Florida in May. I hope you're going to be coming back as a speaker next year in Palm Springs.
Yeah,
Uh,
hopefully. I'd love to.
yeah, I hope the room is warmer though, man. That was
I know, that was pretty brutal.
oh, if I had had a parka, I would have been so comfortable. The Family Business Center or family businesses, there really are a lot of learning experiences with those family business centers, and people are working specifically with family businesses to help them with the generational issues. And there are many.
It's a very unique challenge. You know, you take everything that's tough about business and then you add everything that's tough about family and you just combine them together and it's a lot. It makes just adds an extra dimension but also family businesses are amazing. Like they just have
Yeah.
such big hearts and do so much for their communities. They're often building businesses in communities maybe where other large employers don't exist. They are primary cornerstone employers. They're giving back. They have deep roots, and it's just hugely important to support them. If there's any family businesses on here who have not connected with a family business center, definitely look around in your area. There's one in the Midwest called the Prairie Family Business Association that, although it's associated with the University of South Dakota, they have a lot of very accessible programming that's virtual that can be accessed by anyone. And there's a lot of centers that are trying to do that for people who aren't maybe co-located with a center, that there's other ways to access the information.
Yeah.
Definitely encourage you to speak out. And also I'm a connector, so reach out to me and I'm happy to connect you with one. So.
Yeah. What's important to me is something that you're doing, and that is brand strategy. I think sometimes people are confused about what that means. It's such an important concept, but it's sometimes hard to understand. I was fortunate that in my business that I sold, I had somebody that studied it and was very good at it. Is there anything that you want to say about understanding what that means for a business?
Yes, primarily I'm focused on generational brand strategy. So thinking about family businesses and how brand and reputation transfers from generation to generation, that trust that we're building. The easiest way that I explain it when I'm talking with clients or speaking is to talk about brand as reputation. Your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the. I think that that's the easiest way to understand it. It kind of makes it not complicated. Everybody, and usually, again, for family businesses, they'll often be like, oh, brand doesn't mean anything in my industry, or we've got a website, we're good. And then all of a sudden you talk about, well, brand is reputation. And they're like, oh, reputation, like that's our most important asset. Nothing's more important than reputation and trust and relationships. And so I think when you start to put it in those words, people understand not only why it's valuable, but also how difficult it can be to protect, especially if you're talking about transferring leaders to starting to do that. Think about that transition. How do you make sure that that reputation remains an asset and stays strong and that you can protect it?
I attended some of the meetings at Cal State Fullerton, the Family Business Center, and I heard some of the kids, they weren't kids, they were adult kids, that they thought they were ready to run the business, and mom and dad didn't think so.
Mm.
And you probably see that a lot. Because really, there is so much to running a business, and sometimes you don't realize the wisdom that's sitting in the room with mom and dad or whoever it is that's running the business.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it also goes both ways of, I think sometimes the leading generation underestimates the wisdom in the next generation. So yeah, I mean, a lot of the work that we do, because we're talking about reputation, because we're talking about really trying to understand the value, the intangible value within the company, that a lot of our work is around transferring some of the last things that stay with the leading generation. It's like judgment and decision making and this kind of like gut feeling that they get, or the way we do things, or values. How do we transfer those things? And so that's a lot of what I've been studying most recently is how like in literature, it might be called tacit knowledge, how things like judgment are transferred. There's a really interesting study on firefighters that a guy was studying firefighters, and his name is Gary Klein. And he was asking this fire chief, how do you make decisions? I'm here to study how you make decisions. And the guy looks at him and he's like, I've never made a decision about a fire in my entire life. Because when he's there, he just knows what to do. He just springs into action. And he was like, oh, well, you've never made a decision. Well, can I see your training manual? And he's like, oh, it's not in the manual. And so anyway, he studied how these firefighters pass on this judgment to the next generation of firefighters, how they learn it, how they pick it up, and also how you can accelerate it. And so we've been doing things like studying that in other areas to see what we can bring into family businesses to help them do that last bit of transfer so that next generation can be ready, and that it's also things aren't siloed with one leader or a couple of key employees or things like that stop the company from growing and evolving.
Yeah. That sounds like such important work. Now, I know WPO has helped you with running your business. How specifically can you identify one or two things that WPO has helped with?
I've been a member of WPO for, I'm going to say like close to 15 years. So it's been a just huge part of my evolution as a business owner. I almost think of my WPO chapter as my informal board of advisors or board of directors, is who I go to be like, I've got a big decision to make. Help me think about it clearly. Help me make sure that I'm seeing it clearly. And they've seen me through lots of really difficult moments. And then they've also celebrated with me. I was with my WPO group on my due date when my son was about to be born. We had our holiday party, and
Have a party and then go deliver.
Yeah. And I brought him like as a newborn to meetings with me. And so like I just they have just been with me through lots of highs and lows and helped me think through things. And when I first started, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't even believe that they're allowing me in the room with all these smart women. And now it's fun to kind of feel like one of the more seasoned members of the group and kind of get to do that for others, of like welcome them into the group and assure them that they have as much to give as they do to get. And yeah.
Yeah, that's so nice. How has your chapter chair helped you?
Yeah, so my chapter chair is Kathy Krosky. She is amazing. She was the one who I know reached out to you and
Mhm.
said, like, you should have Megan on your podcast.
Yeah,
And
I met Kathy
so
at the
those are the
at the
things, the
forum.
kinds of things that Kathy does. She's just, she's also a connector. She just is always advocating for us. She, yeah, just like the person that you can call when you need anything. Truly, she's always like happy. If she doesn't know the answer, she'll help find the answer. I can't say enough about how much she has just supported me. And I feel like just knowing that you have somebody in your corner
Yeah,
just means so much. To have a fan cheering you on,
yeah,
whether again, kind of the celebrating with you or there for you on your low days. She's awesome.
nice. Have you had any retreats with your chapter?
Yes, we have done multiple retreats. We've done some regional retreats with other WPO chapters because I'm in Massachusetts, so we have New England chapters around and so we've done retreats with other chapters, and then we've done them with our own chapter. We're fairly close to Canyon Ranch in the
Yeah,
Berkshires, and so
yeah,
we've done several retreats at Canyon Ranch, which is amazing. Canyon Ranch is fun because those retreats, it's like a nice opportunity to try new things. The first time we went, I did everything. I did like fencing, and I did an art class, and I did forest bathing and all
nice.
kinds of things. So it's a fun way to just again try new things, and then
Yeah,
also just have some time together that's more relaxed and social with other WPO members, and you
yeah,
get into more deeper conversations sometimes late at night or on a hike or those kinds of things that you don't
yeah,
necessarily have time to in a regular chapter meeting.
yeah. You really get to know some of your other chapter members that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think about the issue processing, the roundtables?
Yeah, I love issue processing. I always feel like whether I'm presenting an issue, it helps me. I like having a process for it because it helps me really think through what am I actually asking for help with? What is my actual problem? And I feel like sometimes just the prep work to be ready to present it to the group helps you sort through it, and you get little aha moments even just through that process.
Yeah,
Um, and then I love helping somebody else think through their issue and just seeing them come into the meeting and come in with their issue, and they're usually super stressed and feel like, I don't even know if anybody can help me with this, but I guess I'll do it, and leave just with a notebook full of ideas
mhm.
and just like completely re-energized.
Yeah,
And
and a
it's
weight lifted off their shoulder.
yeah, they come in like so heavy, and they leave like, yes, I can do this. I can do this. And then I think too, having the accountability of having to come back the next month and know that people are going to be checking in with you to be like, how'd it go? The conversation that you had to have or
Yeah,
the move that you're going to make. So yeah, it's
yeah,
cool.
yeah. So what are your plans for the future?
Um, Yeah, I've got big plans to continue to spread the gospel of generational branding. I'm just feeling very energized by the work that we're doing and the work that the families that we're working with are doing. I do have my own book in the works, so
Very
we'll
good.
be doing that. I'm still in the like research phase, but am looking forward to seeing even just what that process yields. Like I'm learning so much just going through it.
Yeah,
Um and I'm excited to see it come out the other side and beyond. Then I can have it on my shelf behind me.
yeah. It feels good to get it to have it done. So yeah.
Yeah.
So your passion extends beyond your business. What else gets you going?
Yeah, I don't know if this is also part of what draws me to family businesses, but I've also have done a lot of endurance sports. I really like to hike. I did ultra marathoning for a while. I've done 50-mile running races through the woods. And I'm not the fastest, but you can stay out all day and go. So yeah, just being in nature, being in the woods, and that relentless forward progress is really important to me. And then finding ways to push my limits, whether it's through athletics or through learning. I also love to bake. I just a home baker, so like to just made a rhubarb pie, and my son and my husband are my great taste testers. They will tell me immediately whether it's a keeper or whether I need to go back to the drawing board and keep working on it.
Nice. That is fantastic. Well, maybe you can bring out something that you've made to the desert when you come to the conference next year.
I will do that. I'll bring some baked goods to Palm Springs.
Yay. Okay. Do you have a question that I have not yet asked you that I should ask you?
I don't know. We covered a lot of ground. I can't think of anything.
Well,
I think we got it.
we got it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Meghan Lynch, for being on Per Her Perspective. I am so grateful to you for agreeing to be on my podcast. And I will listen to your podcast and recommend it. Please follow Megan's podcast and my podcast and rate it. We'll both appreciate that. Thank you very much. See you next time on Per Her Perspective.
You've been listening to Per Her Perspective. I'm your host, Marla Knoll. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow the podcast so you don't miss what's next. To go deeper, check out my book, Drama-Free Management, a practical guide to moving teams from high drama and low performance to low drama and exciting results. To connect with me, visit my website, ocgrowthadvisors.com. Until next time, keep leading with purpose and perspective.